I'm here with young Shiro, who is a vaporwave DJ and half of the Hot Takes podcast, and has been described as the Steve Aoki of vaporwave by Skeleton Lipstick himself. So make of that what you will. So young Shiro, you have a couple things going on, but I'm assuming there's not going to be any hot takes in your set for Homesick Fest. It's just going to be DJing.
It's a pretty hot set, man. I decided to kind of take a left field approach and bring in a genre that is not really vapor adjacent, but kind of comes from the same era and the same source, and that's Witch House.
Ooh.
So I decided to make it kind of dark, kind of creepy, kind of scary, kind of violent. So I'd say there's some hot takes in there.
Yeah, and actually, not everyone may have listened to Witch House before, or really know what it is. So,
True,
do you want to give a
true.
description?
So Witch House came up around the same time Chillwave came up, and like around the same time Vaporwave came up, and C Punk. Witch House to me, and maybe you can correct me on this, but it's just like really nasty, dark, scary trap music, but not in like the like Ghost Domain type or like Bones. It's more like it's noisy. There's an element of like noise to it. Um, so it's noisy, it's creepy, it's kind of nasty and kind of like woozy sounding. And it's rooted, of course, in like drill and like Memphis hip hop and stuff.
Right. Yeah. The way I kind of think of it
DJ
is
Screw.
it has more of a found footage type sound to it. Like I think of Blair Witch
There
Project
you
when I
go.
hear the
That's
music.
great description, man.
Yeah, maybe it's a bit of a mnemonic to think of Blair Witch Project for Witch House when that's not where the name
Right.
comes from, but it kind of works for me
It
anyway.
does. It does work.
Witch House is really fun, and I'm excited that you included something that's kind of out of the standard for vaporwave because it's you get a lot of sets in shows like this, and it's great to have some variety thrown in there.
I
I guess that's
agree.
what you were aiming for.
Yeah, man. I pride myself on being versatile with various different independent electronic music genres, and I like pressing the envelope.
And how do you go about designing sets like this?
Oh man, if you want me to take up the whole interview, I can tell you. uh, Honestly, man, I the way I prepare for the live streams is very different from the way I prepare for actual live DJing, IRL. But for the live streams, I put a lot more time and effort into planning the playlist, just making sure that the energy level kind of flows, that it starts with a bang, ends with a bang, and just maintains that energy level throughout. Uh, Without going into too much dirty detail, this set is not mixed in key, unfortunately, but I do try to kind of maintain like complementary sounds, complementary highs, lows, and mids. Um, but more than anything, I just want a set that just never stops. I want it to breathe a little bit, but I want it to pummel the entire 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's what all the great electronic DJs do, I think, is make the whole thing kind of flow. And when you've got so lost in the set that you don't even notice the song transitions, that's when you've hit your mark,
I mean,
right?
you're a DJ as well, so I imagine you would know.
Yep, we're both in the same line of work here. Where does your artist name come from? The young prefix is kind of more common in future funk, really, I would say.
It is, or more even so, the like SoundCloud rap type scene.
Hmm.
So it was kind of a joke on all the young or and like Lil type of like rappers and acts. And then Shiro is my favorite character from a anime called Tekkon Kincrete. There's two characters named Kudo and Shido, and one of them is like dark and one of them is light. And Shido is light. Tekkon Kincrete, really cool anime.
But you said you also have done like IRL shows. So what was the last show you were in IRL?
Oh man, so the biggest show I played the Terminally Chill After Party for Electronicon LA, hosted by Skeleton Lipstick. I got to DJ right after James Webster from DDS and right before Vape Error. That was
Nice.
amazing. To answer your question, sorry, I had to plug that. Of course, the last show I played, we had Vaporwave nights here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Myself and my co-DJ, DJ Zandow Ballet, were putting on Vaporwave nights at a event in East Fremont called the Nerd, and obviously we don't do that anymore.
Yeah. And then once that was over, how did you transition into these virtual events from the pandemic? Was it an easy transition for you, or was there some learning for getting
Oh, there
these?
was some learning. I am not very technologically savvy. I really should not be a DJ. I've just kind of stumbled into it and forced my way into it. I had to learn how to use OBS. I had to get all the cables that I needed to stream to a separate rig with a line in and all of that nonsense and a monitor and a splitter and all that garbage. So I had to learn how to do that. And the collective I belong to, Rosewood, started putting on shows. And once I started cutting my teeth with Rosewood's live stream fundraising events, I got invited to play Vapor Space, Picari Online, um, a handful of other events, Sight Sounds and Conversations, Codex Boy Encyclopedia's event, and now Homesick Fest.
Yeah, that's a lot of events. So, when you're back to how your set design, when you're designing a set, how do you like come up with the initial concept? Where do you start, and like how do you travel from there? Is it an emotional process? Is it kind of a like technical process where you're thinking about keys and things like that? Like
Honestly,
you
I kind of
mentioned.
want to ask you these questions after the interview is over. But I keep my tracks very meticulously organized. I always have. Honestly, I should have been a DJ 10 years ago, but just didn't see the writing on the wall. Um, I dig in the crates every single day without fail. And the tracks that I like, I make mixes out of. And the creme de la creme goes on my DJing Mac that's over here. You can't see it's off screen. Creme de la creme. And then it gets organized by genre. And honestly, man, I just look and I go, okay, I did a dark synth set. I did a slush wave set. I did a chill wave set. Let's do something different. What are we going to do this time? And I looked at the Witch House. This time I was talking to, the people in charge, Be Careful, handful of other people. I said, all right, I'm down between like Witch House or Outrun Synthwave. What do you think? They were like, ooh, Witch House. I said, well, okay, I got to make this work now. And then honestly, dude, I usually use BPM more than anything. If I have a lot of material, I'll mix it in key. Like when I do lo-fi house DJ sets, that shit is in key every single time, right? Um, couldn't really do that with the Witch House because there's a lot of bad Witch House. So there's a lot of bad Witch House, but I've got the good stuff on deck, and I really just start with a banger, and then I just try to make sure I don't have to change the tempos too much. Try to make sure I can mix the, the mids aren't clashing, everything's beat matched and everything. I chop up a lot. I'll skip choruses, I'll skip intros, I'll jump back to an earlier cue point. I do that a lot in my sets. So it's more technical, man. But then I do it after the technical part. I actually do it. I'm like, all right, but does this have does it maintain that energy?
Mm-hmm.
It's like putting a puzzle together for me. I don't know about you, but it's
Oh yeah,
yeah.
it's always like a puzzle. That's part
You
of the
can't
fun of
paint
it.
yourself into a corner with DJing.
Mm-hmm. So, let's end this here with I want to jump to your podcast for a second. I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask you for a hot take, but what's been your favorite part of that podcast?
um, Honestly, this is the corniest thing that I'll ever say, but Dr. Chris is one of my favorite people I have ever met, ever. I really don't think that he needs to hear this, but he is my mentor and my idol. And being able to start a podcast with that person is, I try not to show it, but I'm basically like fangirling the entire time. Um, Even when I have to talk over him or when I have to endure him raking me over the coals for not liking something. My favorite part is honestly just being able to get to know my friend better. And the community that's been built around it would be like a close second. Like working with B Fanti, Eparita, DS Dude, Sega Octopus, and all these people that are helping us design and promote. Tech Honors has been extremely helpful. Indie Advent has been extremely helpful. So without rambling, Dr. Chris and the community that we built around Hot Takes has been wonderful.
That sounds like a pretty strong foundation for your podcast right there. Both those
Thank you.
elements. Yeah, so that probably wraps things up here. Thanks a lot for chatting, and hope
Always.
everyone enjoys the set.
I hope so as well.